It's hour two of Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com, and that can mean only one thing. Vince, it's rapid fire time. Are you ready?
Yeah, baby. Let's do it. We got some good ones today. A lot of fill in the blanks.
Ooh, yeah, I like it. I like it when we can fill in the blanks a little bit. Starting with this first one, fill in the blank. The fact that there are no changes on Notre Dame football's depth chart this week is blank.
Not surprising. Disappointing, but not surprising. How about that?
Okay.
I was not anticipating any changes, although I still texted you, there's no changes to the depth chart. You know what I mean? So, I was hoping, but I knew it wasn't going to happen.
No, the only thing less surprising that I could hear is that Vince D'Addario got busted trying to stash carryout bags in a backpack, leaving a buffet.
What?
That is the only thing less surprising that I could think of. The Notre Dame having no changes to the depth chart this week.
That's what I have kids for, Sean.
Well,
I mean, come on. I don't
are
do
you
that
calling
myself
your
anymore.
Are they your mules? Is that what you're saying?
They want to eat the rest of the week. They have to be motivated.
Who was the most? Didn't that CC's buffet close down?
Yes, we used to go there.
That's what I was going to say. Who was the most disappointed person in the family when CC's closed down?
No, the kids were disappointed, but I enjoyed. The food wasn't great. Let's be real clear on that. The food was not great.
They're closed, so we can say that with
yes
remorse.
But it was still a great, cheap option to take your kids to because they had pizza and pasta and
we went there a few times when we had the youngins. When the kids were young.
Yeah.
Yeah, go hit that buffet up. Why not?
They got the job done.
Yeah, look, I didn't think that they would overreact to, what happened in week one because it is one game. At the end of the day, it is one game. The biggest difference is you just have 2 weeks in between games, so you have nothing now. If the issues that we saw in week one that are individualized, less about scheme and all those things, if they keep recurring, then you start having to look at some different things. But, the comment that we played for Marcus Freeman in the first hour of the show about the offensive line, he didn't see things that were personnel based. He saw them more, I think, more about what Miami was doing and, specific people that Miami had. So we'll see if that holds true against Texas A&M this week. But that appears to be the mindset of Marcus Freeman and his coaching staff coming out of that game.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to make drastic changes, obviously, after one game. I mean, that is a panic move. I will say that. The fan in me wanted to see some changes, based on last year and based on game one, right? But they're looking at it as this season, and you don't want to make any drastic changes. If you start seeing a trend, then you hope that there are some changes to be made. And I guess what I was looking for was at least some competition at certain positions, which we did not see either. So that part of it, I think, is a little disappointing.
Yeah, you would have liked to have heard Marcus Freeman maybe talk about, hey, some different competition at some different spots and that kind of thing. But it sounded like the big thing was just, they went live much more during this bye week than they would have if it was, like a regular bye week that's a month plus into the season. Like he said that they had to, tackling was a little bit of an issue. He addressed that, what's so odd is, like we were talking about offensive line versus defensive line, Notre Dame held Miami to 3 yards per carry. If you would have looked at that, you would think that would have been a really successful night for Notre Dame. But, you got to tackle a little bit better. But they had I guess what I was starting to say is they had to approximate game speed last week. They still had to do more live stuff than they would usually do during an off week. And maybe that ends up being a good thing for them. They went good on good more during the bye week than they typically, than if it was a regular game week and you're going ones versus the scout team and that kind of stuff. So maybe that kind of helps pick things up on both sides of the ball as well.
Yeah, it's interesting having a bye week so early. You're not dealing with as many injuries. You're not dealing with as much, bumps and bruises and things like that. So I feel like you can get a little bit more aggressive. And it came after a loss. So, we're going to have a question about this in a minute, but I'm okay with a little extra work. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm all for it.
1 week later, describe the Miami game in one word.
Disappointing. I'm still just disappointed. I'm not ticked off. I'm not, violently upset. I'm disappointed. Like they just didn't play their game. I've been a part of enough teams, both as a player and as a coach, where you're just not the better team, and you just get it handed to you, and you just got to kind of take your lumps and head on to the next game. You know what I mean? That just isn't the case here. And I think that's the disappointing part. They didn't play up to their standard. They didn't play up to their ability, and they got beat by 3 points on basically a last second field goal. It's disappointing. And now they got a lot of work to do. The margin for error, we had this conversation last year, right? Margin for error is like super thin now. And that's disappointing that you're sitting here on September 8th and we're talking about the margin of error for something that's going to happen in December is razor thin. It's disappointing.
Yeah, I think disappointing is a very appropriate word. My word is unsettling, and it's unsettling, kind of piggybacking on some of the stuff that you were saying. It's unsettling just because, of all these different things we've talked about last week and this week, because it was just so uncharacteristic of a Marcus Freeman Notre Dame team. Like we expect them to be in attack mode most of the time, and they just never, I won't say never, but most of the night didn't find them. I keep saying never, even though I'm trying not to say never. They didn't find themselves in attack mode enough of the night, and specifically at the line of scrimmage. Like the fact that they were out physicaled for a good chunk of the night, that is the thing that is the most unsettling to me, and the thing that they ultimately have to answer. Like we really felt like this could be Notre Dame's best offensive line in 8 years, since 2017 when they won the Joe Moore Award.
Yeah.
Coming out of that game, that's not what I would be saying. It's not what I am saying right now. So it's unsettling because they weren't in attack mode enough, and because they were out physicaled much more than we've seen a Marcus Freeman team be out physicaled.
Yeah.
Probably at least since year one.
Agreed. Just disappointing, man. Very disappointing.
And you're in year 4 now. So who or what did we overrate the most going into last week's opener?
I guess for me, it was the offensive line, because I went into it, and I think we had another question about which group would you be surprised if they didn't play well. And I said the offensive line, and they played very poorly. So I overrated them. I overrated them going into week 1, and I'm willing to admit that and own that. I still think they have the talent to be one of the better offensive lines in the country. But if that's the effort and that's the performance that, we're going to get as fans and analysts and whatever, the rest of the way, they're not even close to achieving that lofty ranking that I had them at. So I overrated the offensive line going into week 1. Hopefully they prove me wrong again in a good way this time.
Yeah, I would say the offensive line, and I would also say, and again, maybe last week turns out to be the anomaly, but the 2 tackles, like especially Emil Wagner, because what have we said all offseason about Emil Wagner? And I don't, I hate to put it on one person, because again, especially since Emil Wagner had the task of going up against Miami's best defensive player, as at least that night anyway. Does Bain prove to be an All-American? Is he that good all year long? I mean, he was a great player as a freshman. He had 7. I think it's probably easy to forget that Bain had 7.5 sacks as a true freshman 2 years ago, but then he was injured last year. So you look at his numbers last year, and maybe that's, skewed some people's thoughts about him. So Wagner, again, did have the task of probably going up against Miami's best player, but still, Emil Wagner was a guy that we didn't have to talk about at all last year. He never had a game like that all last year, even against Texas A&M, going against, some other guys who went on to be first-round draft picks last year. So I think that is the biggest thing. The offensive line in general, and specifically the two tackles. I think that we expected a heck of a lot more from them.
Yep, a heck of a lot more. And we were very much disappointed. And Brian NY keeps saying it's all on Freeman. Yeah, of course, everything is on the head coach. There, no doubt about it. But you can't just say it's on the head coach and then walk away. Like there's more to it than just that. So
I mean, are we going to say that we overrated Freeman after the guy just went to the national championship game?
No, I'm not going there.
No, I mean, honestly, it's because of Marcus Freeman's presence that I have confidence that they can pull out of this, because he has shown that they can do it before. Like there are plenty of examples of that. Again, like, time is going to tell, and I'll just go ahead and throw this up there right now because I forgot that I had started this up. Daniel Harris says, we'll see how good Miami is when they go to USF this coming weekend.
I don't think that's the litmus test for how good Miami is, but
I mean, it might be more the litmus test for USF, but
yeah, agreed.
What if USF beats Miami, after all this?
Well, if that happens, then that's bad news for Notre Dame fans. If that happens, then that means that you really played poorly because Miami's not who you thought that they were.
Because look, what happened when Marshall beat them a few years, in Marcus Freeman's first season? You're going, oh, well, Marshall, man, maybe they're going to win the Sun Belt. Or was it are they in the MAC now? They used to be in the Sun Belt.
They're not in the MAC. USF's not in the MAC.
No.
I'm sorry.
Marshall, no,
they're not in the MAC either.
But my point is, it's like, oh, well, maybe NIU is what I was thinking of last.
Oh, yes.
Maybe NIU goes on to win the MAC, but then go back farther than that,
right?
To Marshall, and it's like, well, what if they become, like the big group of 5 team, and like maybe they're an outside, no shot of that. Like both of those teams, from these smaller conferences that beat Notre Dame, Marshall in year 1 and NIU in year number 3, neither one of them went on to do anything. And so it is still legitimate to ask, like, is Miami really going to be a top 10 college football playoff team, or, do they kind of fall flat? USF right now has turned out to be the darling because they beat a college football playoff team from a year ago in Boise State in their first game. And then they turned around and beat an SEC in-states team last week. Do they have it in them to beat Miami this week as well?
I mean, if they do, great for them. They'll be a ranked team and all of those other things. Then because Miami's going to be top. I mean, they were 5th after last week. I don't know if they moved at all going to this week. For some reason, Notre Dame went up a slot, which I thought was interesting.
I thought it was kind of curious too.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that, but Notre Dame's number 8 now. So, look, if USF can knock off Miami, that would be very impressive because I do think Miami is better than Florida. So I will say that much. I think Miami's better than Florida.
Yeah. And Miami still got to play Florida as well. They play play USF and Florida State this year. And as of right now, the Florida Gators are the worst, major conference team in the state of Florida. Right.
Yeah. That's fair.
I found that USF Miami game on FanDuel, Vince.
Oh, what's the spread, sir?
You want to guess?
My goodness.
Guess the spread, baby.
I think the spread's going to be 6.5.
It's bigger than that.
Is it bigger than that? Is it double digits?
It is.
How many? Well, let's see. How about 13.5?
Bigger.
20.5.
Not that big.
18.5.
Minus 16.5. Miami is minus 16.5. The over-under is 56.5 points.
Somebody in the chat said they guarantee that USF won't give up 27 points to Miami.
Man.
I don't know about that.
I haven't seen either of their games. Boise State, I don't think is near. They're obviously not what they were last year without Genty and a few other guys. But I mean, the Miami guy, I read some of his stuff. David Lake, the guy had on last week, over the sun, he ranked Miami's opponents, he actually had Notre Dame ranked as their second best opponent after Florida, like based on talent, roster, the whole thing. Now, Napier's coaching is another story.
Yeah.
But obviously, South Florida just beat them. Now, they're going to get some help from a guy spitting on somebody and whatever else that gets right. I just sitting here right now, I kind of like that South Florida getting 16.5 points against the Hurricanes. I don't know what you think.
I mean, that's what the way that South Florida has played. Now, I assume that game is at Miami. Is that at Hard Rock?
Yes.
I don't know. That's a tough one, man.
I'm curious to see what the crowd is like, because apparently, that place, like Miami home games, they don't, unless it's like Notre Dame or like probably Florida State, those kind of games. It's pretty scarce. So I wonder if they even get like 45,000 for that game.
I would doubt it. Now, it'll be helpful that Miami be undefeated, obviously, going into that game.
You get some USF people coming up,
a top 5 team, So I mean. But yeah, I mean, I would think that USF would be able to bring some people, University of South Florida. So that's not that long of a trek, I wouldn't think. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I get the USF plus the points. That's a lot of points. 16.5, 17.5.
It is.
That's a lot of points. And I'm not convinced Miami can score in bunches, and put tons of points on the board. I still think Notre Dame's defense is better than South Florida's defense.
I agree. Beefeater says ESPN has Miami minus 17.5, so even more. I would take that. I would definitely take that extra point on ESPN. The 16.5 is on FanDuel right now. So, all right, fill in the blank. Syracuse head coach Fran Brown making his team run sprints in full pads on the field immediately after Saturday's win over UConn is blank.
Old school, man. That's old school. There are a lot of old school coaches that do that sort of thing.
There are.
That have done that sort of thing in the past.
Yeah.
And some of those coaches have gotten in big trouble for doing that. So
they have. Sometimes it blows up into a big media maelstrom.
Yes, it does. Sometimes that happens. So, I don't know that I would tell a coach to do that based on personal experience, but I would say that I think it was fantastic watching Syracuse do it.
Doesn't it feel a little showboaty, though?
It 100% does, because the fans were still in the stadium, Sean.
Right.
And you won the game. It's won the game.
Like I retweeted it. It's literally like the miracle.
Yes.
Thing, with Herb Brooks and the game in Finland or wherever it was, when they were over there. And like, it just feels like you're obviously trying to prove a point, but it's like, okay, I'm Fran Brown, and now I'm showing everybody I'm putting my foot down on these guys. It's a little bit much, I think. I would rather handle that. If I were coaching that team, I would rather handle that on Monday or Tuesday whenever they have their first full practice back, at practice and that kind of thing. But he is obviously trying to make a point, trying to make a show out of the whole thing. And I think that he got, mission accomplished.
Yeah, he got the publicity. Right. And there were like the picture that I saw that you retweeted, that there was a ton of people in the stands still.
Yeah, there were
watching this happen.
Yep.
That's not the time. Take them back to where they were going. Because take them back, get on the practice field, then run your drills and your extra running.
Is that the biggest lesson Fran Brown should learn from this whole thing?
Should be.
Okay.
It's probably a letter in his file. He doesn't even know it.
Right. Scale of 1 to 10. How big a deal is Oklahoma's win over Michigan?
Oh, it's like a 7. I mean, it's a big deal, but they were at home. I mean, they held home court. I think they're a better team than Michigan. I mean, the final score, like I watched that game. The final score is not indicative of how that game went. Like Oklahoma was by far the better team in that game. Michigan had no offense. They had no desire to sniff the end zone in that game. And Oklahoma pretty much did what they wanted to do. So it's a big deal because it's a ranked win for Oklahoma. So on paper, it's a big deal. watching the game, it didn't seem like that big of a deal.
And that's how I'd probably put it at a 5 because, it's like it was a big deal a few years back, however long it's been, when Oklahoma and Michigan scheduled this game, because it is, like it is a non-conference game, obviously. And Michigan did just win a national championship a couple of years ago. But, like for Oklahoma, it's a win they really needed to have because it's at home. Like when you look at how, like where they've got to go, a lot of people are picking them to be a playoff team this year and think that they can be a playoff team. But they've got, as we've gone over a million times, like when you look at their conference schedule, they've got a 5-6 week stretch at the end of the season that is brutal. So I put it at a 6 just because, like, Michigan is still a good defensive team. They're a good physical defensive team, but their offense is obviously just not there. Like it's a ways from being there. Like they're going to have to, their defense is going to have to keep them in games all year long. So I give Oklahoma, not them, but like that's how big a deal it is. It's a 6. I think.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I could see that. Oklahoma I don't think is going to be a playoff team because the schedule's too stinking hard. Like I just don't see them getting through it. And somebody said everyone else knows that Michigan's not a top 15. Well, not everybody knows it because they are ranked as a top 15 team or whatever their ranking was before they lost.
A lot of people think they were a top 15 team. So
I will say this, his name is escaping me. The owner of Barstool Sports is the big Michigan fan.
Oh yeah. Portnoy.
He did a little video on the way home from the game. Hilarious. Like you want to talk about buyer's remorse?
Is he crying?
This man has some buyer's remorse with how much money that he has infiltrated into Michigan for that quarterback who's making $3 million a year. There's definitely some buyer's remorse there at the present, but I thought that was pretty comical.
Yeah, it's hilarious, actually, and it's remember, like this guy is a true freshman still. Not everyone is
absolutely
just come in and play like a championship quarterback in 2 games.
Like if you wanted to give that kid $12 million, I would have scaled it so that it was like a little less as a freshman, maybe a little bit more as a sophomore, and you get more and more as you go. Kind of like NFL contracts, you know what I mean? But $3 million a year, whoo, baby, that's a lot of money to look that bad.
Irish for Life 99 in the YouTube chat says he's a doofus. Stick to what you know, pizza boy. Look, I mean,
I agree.
We're going to get a lot more of his bad takes all year long now that he's on that Fox pregame show.
Man, I hope they second guess that decision. But
I know.
I have not seen any of his spots on the Fox, big noon, whatever. But I haven't heard good reviews of his stint on there. I don't know if you've seen any of it.
I just saw a little bit last week. He came in guns blazing with the whole, taking shots at Ryan Day and Ohio State and all that kind of stuff, which, wins you a lot of favor.
And that did not work out well for him, by the way.
Yeah, there's only so far that shtick is going to take you. I didn't get a chance to see, any if he had any real football takes in week 2.
Doubtful.
Guess I'll get the chance this coming up weekend since we've got a Notre Dame night game.
Oh, good point.
Fill in the blank. Sonia Citron setting the Washington Mystics single season scoring record as a rookie is blank.
It's freaking awesome. She's finally kind of out of the shadow, I want to say, at Notre Dame because, look, we knew she was a great player. And when she was hurt, in her career, when she was hurt and Notre Dame struggled offensively, it was like, hello, there's a reason. Because she's a really, really good player. And I'm glad that she's now kind of on her own, so to speak, away kind of from that shadow at Notre Dame. And she's able to be herself. And she's just killing it. I mean, she's absolutely killing it. Good for her. I think that's awesome.
It is amazing because, like you said, like she was basically in the shadow of Miles and Hidalgo really for the last couple of years. And now
I even think she was in the shadow of Maddie Westbeld there for a while too.
Yeah, that's probably true. Now she has the most double-digit scoring games for a rookie in WNBA history. Like, think about that. Like Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, all these greats, Sue Bird, Paige Beckers this year, even, who's also a rookie, Caitlin Clark last year. any Hall of Famer you can name, Sonia Citron has more double-figure scoring games as a rookie than any of them. And it's just amazing. Like, to me, I can't see how she's not going to win Rookie of the Year. There are some who are still saying Beckers, but like all these things that Citron keeps doing, like it's just nuts. And she's just great start to what's going to be a great career, great professional career for Sonia Citron. We've got still a few more minutes to go here. The Colts, Vince, opened their season with a 33-8 trouncing of Miami. What's more surprising, that the Colts and Danny Dimes looked that good, or that the Dolphins and Tua looked that bad?
Oh, it's Danny Dimes, and it's not close. Like, he looked like a world beater. He's making all Giants fans go, what was that? Like, who? You know, I was shocked at how well he played.
Yeah.
Because along with you, I'm thinking, you know, the future is Riley Leonard in Indianapolis. And we'll see how long this lasts. But he played a hell of a game. Danny Dimes played a hell of a game. And, like, that game was over quickly. Like, it was over quickly.
It really was. It really was. They became the first team, the Colts, since 1977 to have the ball 7 times and score on all 7 possessions in that game. And, like, I knew that the Dolphins defense would not be that good. I didn't realize that they would be that bad. And what I also didn't know is, you know, again, like, that the Colts defense would look that dominating, because, you know, you still have Tua and Devin Achane and Tyreek Hill. I think he got injured in the game at some point. And Waddle, like, there's a lot of offensive firepower on that Dolphins team, and they just looked horrible. But the fact that Danny Dimes could lead an offense that looked like that might be the best game he has ever had in his career. Amazing.
I will be lying if I said I am familiar with the ins and outs of Danny Dimes' career, because I'm not a Giants fan and I don't follow the NFL that closely, but I know that he was cast off for a reason. And the Colts were basically brought him in to be a backup. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And he won the job. But again, the bar was set pretty low, and I wasn't expecting much in game 1. I really wasn't. The problem is the Dolphins are on the downswing, man. Like,
yeah,
it's a rough situation down there.
Mike McDaniel is, I think the seat is warming up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We'll see what the Colts actually are next week. They'll play the Broncos, a much better defense that they'll see next week. But, I mean, hey, you come in, you've got Daniel Jones, and you win a game like that, you're going to take it if you're the Colts. Yeah. They're feeling pretty good.
No doubt.
We'll continue with more NFL talk for the people who say we only talk Cowboys when we talk NFL on this show. The Buffalo Bills scored 15 points in the last 4 minutes to beat Baltimore 41-40 in an amazing game last night. Did the Bills win it, or did the Ravens lose it?
This is a great question. I had to really think hard about this one, but I watched the majority of this game, and the Dirty Bird. No, the Dirty Birds are Atlanta, right? So they're not the Dirty Birds, but they're birds nonetheless. I will say that the Bills won the game because Baltimore pretty much did what they wanted to offensively most of the game. I mean, you can't blame the offense. Like, they played well the entire game. It's just the Bills caught fire at the end and scored a bunch of unanswered points. And then, you know, hit a game-winning field goal with a guy who wasn't even on the team 3 days ago. So I think the Bills won it.
In the last 25 years, teams trailing by 15 points with 4 minutes to go in the game were 3 and 2,312. 3 wins, 2,312 losses in the same situation the Bills were in last night. I've got a shade to the other side because, look, if Derrick Henry doesn't fumble,
yeah, that was big.
I think that the Ravens walk out of Buffalo with a win. I mean, they were up 40-25 with 4 minutes to go, and they end up losing. Derrick Henry averaged 9.3 yards per carry. If he just holds on to that football, I think it's a different story today. And, you know, like, all the odds have shifted now. The Bills, after winning that game, they're the Super Bowl favorites out of the AFC, and, you know, all the the MVP odds have changed and all that based on one game in week one. Let's not completely overreact.
Yeah.
Greatly entertaining game, though.
It was.
Last night. I do have to say that. Like, that's what you wanted out of a game like that with those two quarterbacks and those two teams.
Well, and with that being the only option, obviously, on Sunday Night Football, so that's what we had to watch, and it was extremely entertaining. So I appreciate that.
It was. Scale of 1 to 10, what is your excitement for Ben Johnson's debut when the Bears play the Vikings tonight?
It's like a 6.5, 7. I mean, if I got excited every time the Bears had a new head coach, I'd be excited all the time. So
True.
I think
coach or a new first-round quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So look, do I think he's got the goods? Yes, I think he's going to be. I think he's got the brains, to be a good head coach. I think he's an offensive, mastermind, and we'll see if he can do something with this Bears offense that seems to be more anemic more often than not. But like I said, I just want the defense to plant the Vikings quarterback multiple times. That's what I want.
I am really curious to see, because we already saw, at least again, overreacting to week one in the NFL is pretty hazardous. But the Lions looked horrible after losing both their coordinators from last year to head coaching jobs, and their offense could just never get on track against Green Bay yesterday. So if Ben Johnson has taken just a couple ounces of that to Chicago and can really apply it to Caleb Williams, I think that we could, at the very least, finally be in for some entertaining football in Chicago.
So I haven't seen that in a while.
I'd put it a 6. I'm not a Bears fan, but I guess my curiosity is probably, maybe the better thing for me, like a 7 or an 8 in terms of what we're going to get tonight.
It's the only thing to watch. So
Flatten JJ McCarthy. So
yeah, it's the only thing to watch. So we'll see how it goes.
Buck and Aikman. I think we got the Manning cast and
that's true.
The whole thing. Good point, Johnny. 2 times in the YouTube chat. I don't know why I didn't even think about that. You got 2 former Duke quarterbacks on one NFL team in Indianapolis with Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard.
Didn't think about that either, because I don't think of Riley Leonard as a Duke quarterback anymore. So
I know.
Yeah, good point.
All right, we will wrap it up with that. A lot of great stuff. Vince, enjoyed it as always. I will talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Be there, be square.
All right. Be aware, we have some whiteboard coming in on tomorrow's show. So get ready for that. We'll talk to you then. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.